Are y'all ready? Thumbs up. Okay, we've got a couple of folks in the room with us today, and it looks like we've got about 26 online. So we're going to go ahead and get started. If anyone shows up late or you miss some information, I'm going to immediately give you the link to this presentation afterwards. So don't worry about missing some notes or something's going on. I'm literally going to give you the URL. So this is the Smartsheet Share Days from Insight to Impact, visual storytelling with dashboards. I apologize to our folks on Zoom. You're going to see the side of my face for the majority of the time, but please feel free to enter any questions that you have in the chat. They might be answered as we go through the presentation, but just to get started, a quick show of hands. Are you a regular Smartsheet user? Yes, no? Okay, so some. Let's see in the chat, does anybody have any, let's say, level of Smartsheet use? Are you a beginner? Are you more advanced? Feel free to enter that in the chat. And then if you've had any experience with dashboards, is that something that you guys have in your regular practice?
Yes.
Okay, well, you might just have a fun time sitting and hanging out.
I'm looking to maybe just something different that I'm not seeing, and like how can I kind of build on
Great.
it, so.
Excellent. And then we've got in our chat, we've got some intermediates, slight advanced to beginners, beginners, regular user, but haven't had some special features, and new to Smartsheet. So we've got a good mix of folks. I'm glad that there's no one who's advanced, so I can at least give some points, regular user, beginner-ish. All righty. Well, this is going to be a fun one. This is going to be from also a marketing perspective. So how are you presenting your data to your stakeholders, whether that be staff members, your colleagues, maybe the executive vice presidents, really just creating that story with your data. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Let me find my mouse. And please ignore me if I stumble or forget something. I've only had girl breakfast this morning, which is a cup of coffee and a Red Bull. So we might go fast. Tell me to slow down if that happens. But let's get started. Again, my name is Lydia Thomas. I am the Marketing Communications Manager for the Vice President's Office of Institutional Support Services. That is all of our support units. So PATS, Facilities Design and Construction, our bookstores. I'm trying to think, Hope Joy. We expand over 18 units. So Smartsheet has been an excellent tool for me to use for our team and to also have transparency for our users. So we do have some information on ISS, and that's a link that you can follow when I share the presentation at the end. I am a Smartsheet superstar. Hooray! That just means that I'm not only creating time-saving solutions, but I'm sharing the joy of Smartsheet with other users. So if you continue to use it, you can stack up some badges. I know Dina has a ton, so she's kind of our leaderboard winner on that one. But if you are attending in person, please use this QR code to sign in. And then if you're attending via Zoom, your attendance has already been captured. So I'm going to give our folks in the room just a sec to sign in.
People maybe not using this.
Okay.
It's okay.
It was on the template. So.
I know. And yesterday we were like, it was linking to the old one.
Okay.
So we were like, oh, but it's okay. Well,
All right.
if anything, we'll move them.
Cool. Excellent. Hopefully you have your date tracking on and then you can see exactly who would win.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right. Are we all signed in? Everybody's good? Okay, almost. And if not, we could just do a piece of paper sign in real quick around the room. Okay. Sounds great. Then we're going to go ahead and scroll on.
No, you know what? If it's, it has probably.
Okay.
You guys are good. Yeah.
All right, guys. Perfect. All right, we're going to scroll on. So today we're going to talk about why dashboards matter. And again, this is going to be from a marketing perspective, and I'll give you some pretty high level information from Smartsheet. As I'm an employee of UNM, I'm versed in what we do, and I'm not a representative of Smartsheet. So I'm going to pull some information from the vendor themselves so that you get a real clear answer on some of the stuff that's going on. But why do they matter? Really, it's on clarity. You're turning your raw data into easy to read stories. You are adding engagement to your presentations. You're keeping your audience informed and invested. And of course, action. You're making your decisions smarter because you have a quick, just 1-second look at your Smartsheet dashboard. So how do we take the data that we collect and put it into context? What techniques and tools do we use to analyze the data and draw out the stories that we're trying to tell? We're going to start with a quick video on YouTube from Smartsheet, which will give you some insight. If you've never used a dashboard before, this will give you some good starting point information.
To make the best decisions, you need to know what's happening in your business right now, whether you're a sales manager like me,
A VP, like me.
or CIO like me. We all need to see real-time information.
And Smartsheet dashboards give us the insights we need to make better decisions faster.
my dashboard gives me a real-time view of our sales pipeline, so I can adjust my plans quickly to keep my team on target. I can see our critical metrics and drill down for the details I need, and make data-driven decisions like which prospects to focus on next. And I can build the exact dashboard I need without help from IT. And I'm always in the loop, even when I'm out on calls.
As VP of Sales, I keep a constant eye on how we're tracking to revenue goals. With Smartsheet, it's all at my fingertips.
As CIO, I need a high-level view of multiple projects so I can track budgets, progress, and open issues, and easily share with our board of directors.
Across our company,
Information is power.
Smartsheet dashboards make real-time insights accessible to everyone.
so we can all make better decisions.
Faster.
Fantastic. All right, let me close out of there. Okay, this is some brief information from the vendor site. They like to use the term dashboarding as the action of creating a dashboard. That's not something in my usual vocabulary, but I would recommend it if it's new to you. And really, that's just the process of taking your virtual business data, ignore my typo, and putting it into a single topic, and then presenting it in one location. And that's pulling information from a lot of different sources or maybe a single source. It's really up to you. Think about the dashboard as a snapshot of your information, and just really high level, what I like to say with dashboards is think about it from an executive perspective. It's your executive summary. You know, they're not going to drill down into the data as deeply as we are and how intimate we know our information, but your dashboard will go, great, here's what's going on, here's your progress, you know, whatever this case may be. So from the vendor site, again, what is a dashboard? You can create a new dashboard using the tools that they have on the site, or they also have now pre-built templates. So that's part of the workspace that they have started in the last couple of years, where you can just say new workspace, and then it pulls up a new, grid or whatever format you're working on, and you can seamlessly create a dashboard from your data. So once you've created your dashboard, you can always make changes to it. This also allows you to share information across the settings with folks outside of your immediate team. So something that I'll like to do, we'll talk about it in just a moment, is going to be publishing your dashboard for your data. So that way you can share it online with anyone. Something that I'll do with our folks at Facility Services is we're starting to use dashboards as a way to display the building coordinator information, so that our form can feed the data into it, and then we can show the information right away. And it's published on our website, so it's pretty cool. Alrighty, so when you're viewing a dashboard, you can check it out on your computer, you can check it on your iPhone, your Android device, really anywhere on the go. So if you've got something that you're like, oh man, I'm just thinking about this, what's the status on this project? Pull it up on your phone. You can see it. It's very cool. I would recommend downloading the app if you have it on your phone. Let's go. Permission levels. This is the one that's pretty interesting for folks, where our permission levels are different across different users. So if you have a licensed account, you're an admin or you're owner of the sheet, you can pretty much do anything you want. If you're a viewer, that's it. You're going to just view your dashboard. So think about who would need to have access to this. Maybe this is a collaborative place where you've got multiple staff members working together to create your dashboard, or maybe it's just you. So that's where you can think about those permission levels and if you need any extra help. Okay. And of course, because this is an interactive presentation, if you want to deep dive into this, I've linked out to our Smartboard Dashboard 101 Masterclass. It's got a really robust article that will let you know everything that you need to know, widget options, doing some configuration, and is a little bit more deep dive than what we'll go into today. So how can you use a Smartsheet dashboard? And again, this is just examples from our vendor. They have examples on financial performance, project management, employee resources, sales, and event planning. I myself will use it more for event planning and marketing tasks. But for example, an executive dashboard, you can provide, accurate real-time overview. And I think that's something that a lot of the folks I work with are so used to generating Excel spreadsheet reports and going, well, this was the data as of October 12th. With your Smartsheet data, you can have live real-time dashboards reporting real information. It helps me with my team. When we do project tickets, I can take a look and say, oh, immediately, we've got 5 projects that are marked on hold or, manager review. And I can just immediately jump in, check in on our tickets and address whatever situation needs to be seen. So again, that's kind of a project management example, staying on top of your statuses, drilling down into your details. And you can always link very cool items like websites or PDFs or other things that you might need in relation to the topic that you're showing on your dashboard. Another cool example is the employee resource portal. Something I do for my own team is I've created a form that is a standalone that reports to me on absences. So when folks want to take days off, they will submit it to the form. And what's cool is on our employee dashboard that we've got set up, they can see the dates other employees have taken off. And if 2 employees, I have a small team, are going to be out on the same time, it will actually flag that date, showing no one else can take the time off on that day. Just because we're so limited on resources, it's hard to keep track of everything and make sure our folks are aware immediately. So it's a great resource. Sales pipeline, again, tracking sales, your key metrics and your statuses, and really giving your leadership just a high level, view of the activities and your progress that you're making. And of course, event planning. This is kind of where I really drill into using Smartsheet a lot. So let's think about welcome back days. If you've got this whole big process that you've got to set up and you're going to be printing materials and you're going to be coordinating with different folks, maybe that's something you've created a form on and you have a dashboard for your event specific on that. So think about how you can use it for a variety of ways. All righty. Moving on, we're going to go into storytelling with data, and that's turning information into meaning. And of course, before you build your dashboard, identify a couple of things. This is where I lost my mouse. You're going to answer the question that you're answering. Is this project on track? The decision that you're supporting. Should we allocate more resources? And of course, the audience that you're informing. Is it people who are very familiar with the data, who are really embedded into your project, or is it an executive? It might be something where you have a dashboard set up for your immediate internal team that is, very deep into maybe trends, what you're looking at. However, the dashboard I would share with my boss on our team would be very high level. Here's our status, here's our progress, here's what we're working on, if they want to know. Okay, so the good example was facility services, formerly facilities management. Dashboard might highlight a weekly work order status for team leads, but roll up to that high level progress view for leadership, like I was explaining. All right. And then number 2, choosing what matters most. You're going to prioritize your key metrics. Not all of your data belongs in your dashboard. It can get very long and kind of tedious. And if you're showing the same information 16 ways, maybe 3 ways, less is more is what I've gotten from executive leadership feedback is less is more is always the number 1 rule. So identify your 3 to 5 most important metrics for your audience. Make sure you're grouping supporting information nearby, like notes or charts. One of the things I did for my own employees dashboard was looking at the trends of our project. I could tell immediately that we had a huge dip in production during a certain time period, and that's when one of our employees had resigned. And so from a couple of months, I could explain with a note on my dashboard, we were short an employee, but by August, let's say, the role has been filled and my data is back to normal. So it's really good to do that. And of course, avoid clutter. Like I said, clarity beats completeness. So renovation project dashboard might show your percentage of completion, your budget status, spent versus allocated, maybe your top risks or delays, or your upcoming milestones. And then number 3, make it visual. Use design to support the message. And so your design choices are a part of your storytelling. I think that's something that some folks tend to forget. Pretty standard. We use green for good and red for concern when we're using colors meaningfully in terms of like finance and those kinds of things. But maybe you're using other colors to highlight different things in different ways.
Nice.
Maybe you have a portion of your data that's all collected. Drill into our brand colors, use that deep dusk purple to show a certain portion of your project that is connected. Use your symbols and icons just to reduce the rating load. And of course, maybe show your trends, not just the numbers. I would recommend using charts a lot because it makes it very quickly easy to see, what's going on where there's concern. So think of your dashboard like a museum exhibit. What do you want the viewer to read immediately within 10 seconds? That's where your less is more kind of comes into play. And then, of course, Tailor the narrative to your audience. Each stakeholder will see the same project through a different lens, and so individual contributors want task level clarity, really detailed information. Your managers want to see their bottlenecks or team progress, and of course, your executives want to know, are we achieving our goals? I can share my dashboards with my vice president, and she does not want to know the nth degree, like I was saying, but wants to know overall what's happening. So tips, using the same underlying data in different ways, like in your reports, in your different widgets. Maybe, like I said, you have one report for your executives pulling from the same source, and you have one for your team that really breaks it down into advanced information. So all you can do is adjust the story you're telling based on the viewer's role. And I think that will help you a lot when you're building your dashboard. And next, building a habit. Let your dashboard tell an ongoing story. Like I mentioned, this is a real-time reporting tool, which is very useful for the projects that we have, and it will automatically update and evolve over time. You can always link to reports to reflect that progress. Maybe that's where you add a what's new section or your top priority. And of course, revisit and refresh your visual layout every few months if you need to. All righty. A simple framework I like to share with folks is use the data to insight to action model. 1, 2, 3. Very easy. Your data, what happened? Your insight, why does it matter? And your action, what's next? So keep it simple, make it easy for yourself. And it also takes you less time. Okay, so now I'm going to let Smartsheet tell us how to create a dashboard since I am not a Smartsheet employee. Sorry, I've got a floating thing in my way, but I'm just going to click this and ignore my screen. So if you see my mouse moving around, don't worry about it.
Dashboards in Smartsheet let you organize your most important data into one easy-to-understand view. They provide a dynamic, real-time visual overview of your critical data, allowing you to monitor progress, identify trends, and make informed decisions. They are ideal for executive summaries, project status tracking, portfolio management, and team performance monitoring. Let's look at an example. As the project manager, you want to showcase the status of your project by bringing together data from various sheets and reports into a visual and easy-to-understand format. You can do this by creating a dashboard, as they are made up of a set of widgets. Depending on the information you wish to display, you can choose from multiple widgets. Some help you set up your dashboard, like the title, text, or image widgets, while others, like the charts, metrics, reports, shortcuts, or even the web content widgets, help you display the content you want to share with people. Now, let's create a dashboard. Select the Create button found at the bottom of the left sidebar, or select Add if you are working in a workspace. Then, select Dashboard. Name your dashboard. Let's name it Project Alpha Dashboard. Now, let's personalize the dashboard. Select the Edit button. From here, you can add color themes to the entire dashboard and customize the canvas colors, add widgets, and even change their settings to fit your needs. For this example, let's add a report widget. In the Report widget window, select Add Report. Search for the name of our report, choose it, and select OK. Once you have your widget, you can personalize it by adding a title, moving it, and changing its size. You can also add behaviors. In the drop-down, you can choose to take no action, which keeps your widget static. Open the data source, which leads the user to the source report. Open another site, which leads to a site you choose, or open a Smartsheet item, which leads to a Smartsheet item of your choosing. We'll select Open the data source. Finally, you can choose how viewers see the information. We'll select the Last Widget Editor, which displays the report using the permissions of the Last Widget Editor. Now let's add a metric widget. Select Metric, then Add Data. Look up your sheet and select the cells you want to display. Here, we'll choose the entire primary column and select OK. Then you can choose the layout of the information. In this case, we'll select Stacked. Finally, we'll also include a shortcut widget. Choose Shortcut, then Add Shortcut, and in the drop-down menu, choose Smartsheet item. Select the ones you want to add, and then go to OK. We'll also set the layout to Stacked. Once you are done editing your dashboard, select Save. For this exercise, we have added additional widgets and edited the previously added ones to showcase a complete dashboard. Keep in mind that a published dashboard automatically refreshes every 10 minutes. To change this, select View, then Auto Refresh, and choose your preference. You can share your dashboard by having it in a workspace. Share it directly with the Share button at the top of the dashboard, or publish it with the Published option in the File menu. Now you have a dashboard that displays all your project information, allowing for quick monitoring and action. So, are you ready to start using dashboards in Smartsheet? Check it out today or learn more in the Smartsheet Help Center. Thanks for watching.
Okay, that was almost a Watch Mojo voice. Let's see. Okay, we're gonna get into some awesome secret tools. And again, this is an article that came from 2023 from the vendor site. However, it's got some really good information that made my life easier. I was doing a lot of extra work to make things look good, and there are tips and tools that you can use. So into horizontal lines, I used to use an image widget and create a line somewhere else and drop it in. At the point of time when I was looking at this, I realized, man, everything I'm making is just kind of pixelated. How can you do this? The easiest thing you can do, strike through. Just a long line, strike through. And that actually lets you change your colors. It's very crisp. It looks really good. So you just create that title widget, select your strike through, and then tap the spacebar until your line is desired at that desired length. So quick and easy way to do it in a text editor rather than trying to create a line somewhere else and bringing it back. And of course, like I said, you can always change the color of your strike through with selecting it because it's text. It's easy enough to just go highlight cherry, highlight silver, whatever color you'd like it to be. And of course, we have a full hex palette of colors on our brand, so it's very easy to stay on brand and make it look very sharp. All right. The next one is real-time symbols not using a chart. So for instance, employee intuitive symbols like green arrow up for positive trends, yellow neutral line for stability, or red down arrows needing attention can transform your dashboard instantly. All it is a little formula magic on your sheet. And I'll click on this so you can see it kind of up close, what that would look like, your status symbol. You know, you can change it as you need it. Maybe that's a flag, whatever your formula is below. You can use that formulas in your symbol column. To do that, you might create a formula symbol similar to what I've put on the screen. That's if parentheses % complete equals 5 equals 1, full, empty, and it'll pull it up. And of course, there's a link to this article, so you can check it out when I share the link after our presentation. Excuse me. And of course, I think some folks forget you can edit multiple widgets at the same time. A lot of folks I'll see will do one widget, get it really nice, and then another widget and get it really nice. Maybe it's something where you can select both and just do both at the same time. So save yourself some time. Like I said, select both and you can just make changes with a few clicks. So you can really sharpen up what that looks like. And then of course, contact cards. Use your contact column in your sheets to just prominently display your contact that you're trying to identify. And here's that example that they have where it's the person's name, their photo, because we're a Microsoft campus, everyone's information gets imported in. It's pretty easy and straightforward there. That is something I have also learned to save myself some time because I used to type out all the information, and you'll see it in one of my examples that I typed out the information instead of just letting Smartsheet do it for me. So put that on your dashboard and make it easy. Okay, and we're going to move into Smartsheet dashboard design, and that's strategic color use. I'm a marketing person, so this is really my bread and butter. This is where it gets really fun, where color is a really powerful tool, and it can invoke emotions, it can tell the story, and aid in your data comprehension. So there are some aspects of it that we'll talk about that will be more in line with UNM's brand, but let's go into color schemes. So monochromatic is a term you might have heard maybe in your art class 1,000 years ago. For me, that was a very long time ago. Your monochromatic color scheme is different variations of a single hue. So maybe that's where you're doing everything in silver and Lobo gray, and you can add just a main cherry header for a splash of color. So think about that. It's often used to achieve a sophisticated look, and it's easy on the eye. Then moving on to analogous, as we saw from the Smartsheet example, they have all of these things kind of preset for you, where an analogous color scheme incorporates colors that are adjacent to each other on the color wheel. So as we're seeing in the example, we've got blue and we've got a couple of greens, and it really used to create a harmonious effect. So maybe that's where you're using deep dusk turquoise and I'm forgetting our colors, green chili. And that could be a really easy way to do that. So I've come up with a couple combinations: Lobo Gray, Silver Cherry with turquoise headers, cherry headers with a warm color palette like High Noon, Sandia Sunset, Mesa, and Terra, or like I said, Lobo Gray headers, turquoise Deep Dusk, and green Chili. So design principles for stunning and informative dashboards. First is going to be functionality. Using those colors in your dashboard to improve your functionality, really, you can use it as leverage, as I was explaining. Maybe your data set that's all kind of related is all deep dusk. Really strategically employ your colors to emphasize your important information, color hierarchy, visual cues, and feedback. What we do as graphic designers is we kind of create a set of rules for ourselves whenever we're going to do any kind of performative display like a dashboard. You're going to say, great, all of my headers will be cherry, all of my text will be Lobo Gray, and I'll use turquoise for accents. Maybe that's reversed if you're coming from health sciences. I know turquoise is pretty heavy there. And then, of course, readability and design. Your color themes should help the user efficiently process information. So to do that, oops, I've got a little hiccup. There we go. Color should be leveraged to create visual cues, emphasize data, and guide users' attentions without overwhelming from distracting main content. So my example here in my quote, let's say you're building a chart with financial data. Green is often associated with growth, profit, and positive outcomes in many cultures, especially for the context of finance. On the other, red is commonly associated with loss, debt, or negative outcomes. So think about how you're using colors within the data that you're presenting. I would say don't use green to represent something bad, just to make it easy. But, really think about it. We have semantic colors where that is called semantic colors, where a color easily equals what you're trying to convey. So, the red, good, or sorry, red, bad, green, good. There we go. Alrighty, and then we're moving on to simplicity through consistency. To achieve a clear and visually pleasing design, it's important to maintain a consistent color scheme. That's where I said, make up a set of rules for yourself. Maybe that's on a Post-it, just to keep yourself consistent. By limiting the number of colors, you can create a sense of unity and make sure that your dashboard looks clean and well organized. So, simple is better than more complex. So a good dashboard design should be both friendly and easy on the eyes. All right. And then my favorite topic I love talking about is accessibility. Accessibility should be at the forefront of your dashboard design process. This includes being mindful of color contrast ratios, avoiding over-reliance on color for conveying information, and ensuring that your dashboard is usable for everyone, including for those with visual impairments or color blindness. I think people tend to forget not all of us have the same, physical capabilities. So it's important to have people who may have a disadvantage in mind as you're creating. So with that, we have a UNM brand color contrast for accessibility chart. And again, this is a link, so don't worry about writing down everything I'm about to tell you, but this is where UNM has previously just gone into our colors and shows you exactly, what does work in terms of ADA comprehension and, what does not work. In the chart that I'm showing, you'll see a lot of the boxes with the varying colors. We've got your background on your rows and your text on the columns, where D and P, that red badge, means it does not pass. People cannot see that if they have a visual impairment. Something to think about is red and green. That is commonly, one of the most hard color combos to see. So if you're putting green text on red or red text on green, someone out there might not be able to see it. So when you're looking at this chart, you'll look for those triple A's or those double A's, the gray kind of boxes that you'll see. White, almost everything is good. Silver on white is very hard to see. Triple A means it is the easiest to see, and a double A means large text, and so does the A18. So really consider it. Just there are some folks who are needing some extra help with that, so try to avoid any kind of color blindness overlays. And that's where I've said, our UNM recommendation, green chili, high noon, Sandia sunset, Terra, and Mesa are tricky colors to work with for accessibility. Try using those colors for charts rather than, in your text. Use black for your text, make it easy for folks. And then we'll go into our UNM color palette. And this is where I can really say, hey, everybody, use the brand colors. We want to convey our sense of one university. And with that, we can do it very easily with our primary brand colors and our secondary colors. I, again, have a link up here on the presentation if you want to take a look at that. But our primary colors now are cherry, turquoise, silver, and Lobo gray. And yes, turquoise has been elevated to one of our primary brand colors. So now you'll see folks on Central Campus using turquoise, and you'll see health sciences starting to use cherry a lot more. This is actually very exciting for me. So now our whole color palette is unlocked for everyone to use. Let's see. And then of course I've got those hex codes there that you can copy and paste. And just as a note, cherry and silver has been an essential part of our brand for more than 100 years. So there is meaning behind it. It's very fun. Do you have a question? Okay, sorry. Okay, all right. And then our secondary colors, we have High Noon, Sandia Sunset, Terra, Mesa Green Chili. Those are the colors that I would say use in your charts. You know, use those as your accents, not maybe to show the information like I was talking about with the ADA chart. And again, your hex colors to copy and paste. There are a wide variety of those secondary colors, and all may be used to tell your story. So these colors specifically were chosen when the rebrand was happening. I think it was maybe 2019, maybe a little bit earlier, where the colors were chosen to complement our primary brand colors and also reflect the neutral tones of our New Mexico environment. So it's something kind of special for us to use. All right, let me keep scrolling. Uh-oh, did my mouse die immediately? Okay, well, here we go. Let me scroll. There we go. Okay, your secondary colors may not be used in place of your primary brand colors, only as accents. That is kind of a UCAM guideline. Just as a reminder, cherry, turquoise, you know, use them as your primary modes of function. And it will also really heavily give you some guidance. Put your logo on your dashboard, because whenever anybody sees it from anywhere else, what is this information? Who is it coming from? Same as if you're sending an email blast. Put your logo on it so people know it's official, it's coming from UNM, it's coming from your departments. Okay. Real-time reporting and real dashboard from recent project management. So I've got some older examples, and this is where I'm going to reveal. I once came from health sciences. When I was working for health sciences marketing communication, we had to do a MARC restructure. If you're familiar with MARC, it is a design platform similar to Canva. We rolled it out because it's specific to our brand colors, to our guidelines, and we were able to create these templates for everyone. There was a moment when MARC was originally called Lucid Press, and they did a complete like rebrand. They changed their policy, they changed all their information, and then we go, oh great, okay, well now we have to pull back our information and re-roll it out to make sure that people have one license per user, and really keep track of all the information that we're trying to do to show people, you know, here's what's happening and this is our status. So this is from 2023 when we did the roll back to re-roll. We had worked together with a couple of our different colleagues. So I was the main project manager on that when my name was Lydia Gosling. And then we had my colleague Byron Huey-Gear, who's still with the marketing and communications group. And then when Bridget Wagner-Jones was the School of Medicine marketing manager. She has since retired and has come back. So all of us are still on campus. In this dashboard, you'll see I've got our project links up at the top. That's where, you know, I've put any of those informations on. Here's where you would request for the license. Here's your presentation, et cetera, et cetera. All the tasks that we had to do to make sure that the rollout was seamless and it made sense to folks. The different tasks broken down into their subgenres, you know, trainings, making the Microsoft team, writing a marketing plan, doing all this stuff, having those tasks that are not started yet. And then, of course, I kind of built this as we went. So before restructure, we had 7 information sections where we had all of health sciences and health come and attend and say, hey, here's what's going on over the next X months. We're going to be making these changes. And I was tracking, you know, through those registered attendees. So those were forms that people were submitting with their name, with their information. I could track, you know, on average, we were looking at about 35 people per session for the primarily in informational sessions, and I was keeping track of who was coming from where, because I knew with our licenses, I've got this group of people that are not being represented, so I need to reach out to them and make sure that they are here and they're understanding. And then to our relaunch, when we did that, we held 14 onboarding sessions from from August to December 23. And again, the information session with the attendees, who's coming, and then our license requests that we were getting. So health sciences, y'all are pretty far down the road in using Mark, and I'm very proud of our team to continue using that. And now I get the pleasure of re-rolling it out for Central Campus. So it's kind of cool to see how everything can move along from that. So project intake, thinking about that as a case study, another one that I did in 2024 was launching the interactive campus map. I created a dashboard for that for our committee so we could keep track of who's asking for updates, how many updates did we have. This was pretty early on when I took this screenshot, so it would not be as finalized as it is now because a year has passed, but I was keeping track of, who needed to address different areas that had updates to the map, what we were doing on, again, our marketing tasks, and of course, our key information like our links. And then this is where it's highlighted because it was in draft form, the information side, the working group, the feedback form, the flyer that we used to distribute, and of course, our working group members. So we knew exactly who was there at what point in time. And this is more internal. So it was really for us to just understand what we were doing. But now we have the map. So Smartsheet has really helped us just build all of these great tools across campus. Okay, so what story do you want to tell? Key items to include on your dashboard from a marketer, project manager, and former event planner. Me, this is what I'm telling you. This is what I think you should include. Your live metrics, your project tasks, like I was just showing you. How many of this, how many of that? Maybe it's related to your KPIs from whatever project it is. And maybe your data tells a different story in an alternate layout. Like I was saying, your audience might be execs to staff members to whoever. Maybe use a pie chart or different ways to do it. I love the gauge that they have that can kind of show you exactly the project completion. And like I was saying, your primary contacts, use your contact cards. Don't type it in because I'm about to show you me typing it in. But those important links, your PDFs, your websites, etc. Look at your trends. And of course, use your Gantt charts to see where items overlap. So before we get into questions and anything else like that, I'm going to exit out of my full screen so I can show you. Here we go. I have a guide for our folks to use for a partner program, kind of like explaining how to work with marketing, because I work with 18 units. It's pretty crazy. This is, you would call maybe similar to an annual report. It's got all of our information, all of the things we worked on. My team works on the new permit tags. So if you see the new design that's come out, that came from our team. It looks pretty cool. And this is where I was able to go. I had the same dashboard from the year before. I took a screenshot, I downloaded it as a PDF for us to store, but everything I report out is from our dashboard. So I could translate everything from FY25, copy it, put it somewhere else just for safekeeping, but I will keep using the same dashboard for the next year. So when I do my annual report, I don't have to do anything. I just screenshot it and plug it in. I go, there you go. Hey guys, everybody take a look at what we're doing. I can tell you we are incredibly busy in the early months and we really ramp up in the summer because that's when construction, road changes happen, a lot of good stuff. And we kind of taper off towards winter break because people go, we'll take care of it in January and February. But it's pretty cool. And that way I can kind of plan out projects and what we're doing. And again, I do comparison trends month over month. I do a lot of different things, but I can really tell you my team gets heavily used for graphic design. And then we do a ton of website edits and we do a lot of communication stuff. So it's pretty cool. You can use Smartsheet in a variety of different ways. And I would really recommend using dashboards as your primary source, especially for those like annual report kind of things. So I'm going to make everyone incredibly sick. Close your eyes. Okay. Here we go. Now we're on to questions. And this is where you have a direct access to this presentation immediately. Feel free, scan this QR code. I will copy and paste this website information into our chat. So we've got that there. And you're going to see me highlight because I'm doing this in the editor view and not our presentation view. But here is your presentation link. So, and a lot of folks will say, when do I get this? When can I click all the links that you've put in there? Immediately, click it. And I'll let our folks scan it. And so at this point, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. If not, I mean, it's a pretty straightforward presentation, more about how do you tell your data? How do you tell the story of your data in a concise way that is on brand, makes sense, and is easy to read for all involved. So I'll leave this up for just a couple seconds longer, and then as we move into the new questions, I'll scroll down and you can have my contact information in a different QR code. So time for questions. Anybody have anything? And if you don't want to say it and you want to tell me later, okay. Alrighty, well, nobody online is saying anything, so I'm gonna go ahead and scroll down, if I can find my mouse again, to my contact information. This is my digital business card. You can find my LinkedIn information. You can add it to your phone as a contact if you ever need to call me about any kind of marketing communications related stuff. We do the planned maintenance notices and let you know when construction's happening, etc. But if you have questions, then we can break. Otherwise, stick around. Thank you.